that sun circle the viewer, they should have in place a backup plan to follow that sun and see where it goes and see where they come out. Because if they come out on the other side of a so-called globe Earth, then what is going on? What is going on? And if someone asked me to model the sky to the ground, I can't do that. I don't have access to the sky. I don't know what those things are in the sky. I'm only a man who lives here on Earth. I can only test and verify and cite physicality to other people who can then cross-reference what I'm citing and see that it's true. That's all I can do. Can one single map be responsible and correct for the ground and what goes on in the sky? So if that sun does circle the viewer, where are we? What is going on? Because the globe's physically impossible unless we have exploration. And you have to follow that sun. You have to follow that sun and see where it comes out. That way the observation has more clout. Crazy times, I'll tell you. Like I said, follow that sun in an aeroplane.
Well, here we are. The final minutes before the end of the flat world. And I'm stuck here at work, so I got the countdown timer up on the TV here in my office. Got a drink here, some ramen. Now let's talk about the end of the world. The flat world.
Well, it looks like the on-site portion of the final experiment is coming to a close.
The final experiment is revealing how the grift is over.
I learned something from a flat earther over the weekend who messaged me on Minette, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys.
If they make a sun simulator, I'm going to see it from here.
The final experiment apparently is not the final experiment for some of these people.
Street smart people don't need data. We've just been around. I've just been around. I just know things because I've just been around.
Look what the education system has done to the general public. Globe top boys, representatives online included. Scary.
All right, to start off, let's check back in with Will Duffy, the organizer of the final experiment. And for those of you who need a refresher, here's me really quickly explaining that to my coworker. They go down to Antarctica to see the midnight sun as it goes up and down in the sky and like never sets, which is supposed to prove that the flat earth is fake. So they're taking some flat earthers down there and they're taking some like globe believers down there. They're gonna watch the sun as it goes up and down in the sky. And like there's a few people who have like said, yeah, if this is true, then we will stop believing in flat earth. It's supposed to be like one of those, yeah, like the big name flat earthers are gonna go, yeah, no, it's not real if we do this. But obviously that's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. All right, let's see how Will's feeling right before they're about to take off from South America.
We are here, we've made it. We are going to fly to Antarctica. We're going into the interior. We're going right to almost 80 degrees south. A guy just in the last couple of weeks made fun of me online, and he said, this idiot guy Will thinks that they're gonna fly into Antarctica and have chefs prepare food for them. And that's exactly what we're doing. There are so many better things we can do for humanity, better things we can do for ourselves, better things we can do for our family and our loved ones than waste time debating the shape of an object. This is so elementary, and it just needs to stop. It just needs to stop. We've got to move past that. When we're kids, we are, before we can talk and before we start learning math and how to write and how to read, what do we learn? We learn about the shapes of objects. We learn to figure out which shape fits in which hole. So this whole debate has really taken anybody involved backward, in my opinion, and it's just not good. So I want to see lives change. I want to see the world benefited from this, and I'm putting my heart and soul into this because I do think it will be successful. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
And before we get too far along here, I just want to check in with LevelEarthObserver. You know, that weirdo crane operator troll from England from my previous video. He claims not to be a flat earther, but also doesn't believe that the earth is a globe. A very complicated and confusing person.
Should the sun circle the viewer in Antarctica? Now we get into the realms of fascinating times.
Yep, he's still doing the same thing.
Of course, globe fantasists will run away claiming a victory because they've defeated a concept through their observation. You cannot take these people seriously at this point in time because they refuse physical reality, and when you highlight they have no physics, they say you don't understand physics, despite the fact someone like me stands by physical demonstrations that can be tested and verified by all. So you cannot take those people too seriously.
Let me me ask a real quick question. Do you think this is gonna work? Let me tell you why I don't think it will.
You're making a TV, Travis.
I am.
Final experiment.
Yeah, this is my follow-up to my flat Earth video.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I know some people might think or want to argue that this isn't going to settle the debate, but it is. Why is it going to settle the debate? Because if there's a 24-hour sun, big if there's a 24-hour sun, that cannot work on a flat stationary plane. I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face, because it doesn't work.
Street smart people don't need data. We've just been around. I've just been around. I just know things because I've just been around.
Honestly, that is so relatable to me. I can't even explain it. I just know things because I've been around.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
All right, if you haven't heard, Candace Owens seems to be considering flat Earth.
Okay, so this guy's Mark Herman, Candace Owens' producer. And like last second, he got brought along for a surprise free trip.
Probably because of this video that she made.
A woman messaged me about the flat Earth theory, which I had never looked into. And she sent me all these links and she's like, you need to look into this, blah, blah, blah. And it's antithetical to the Bible and all of this stuff. And I saved the links and I was like, I'm gonna watch this later. And my husband was like, why are you, why even bother looking into this? And I'm like, because I'm just genuinely, I'm a curious person. So if someone thinks anything, I have to read it and know what they believe, because faith is what drives people ultimately. But then when I said to him, I said to him, because I don't know if the Earth is round or flat or an octagon or anything.
I don't know, she sounds a lot like LevelEarthObserver to me. So why is this guy over here on the globe Earth side?
She's also seeking truth, which I think is awesome. I am seeking truth, and I think everyone should be seeking truth. That's obviously not the case, but it should be. And if we were all seeking the truth, we would realize at some level we are all on the same team and we could work together.
Listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science. Science, what it is actually, is a pagan faith.
Flat Earth is growing, and we're gonna keep getting new people like Candace Owens stating that they are considering flat Earth. Why is this happening?
And I've realized that I've been thinking deeply about this pagan cult that we exist in. It is backed by a false science deity. That is what it is. It is the science. Oh, this is the new God, and it is incredible to see the ways in which people worship this deity.
The data's from the Matrix, and you are the Matrix, and the Matrix is full of lies.
Again, I know I'm biased, and I know this is my project, and so I probably think it's bigger than it really is, but I do think this is why the final experiment is so important. Here you've got someone that a lot of people respect. She's got a very large following. She's obviously very sharp as well, if you ever watch any of her videos.
I've suffered from this condition of not trusting authorities when they say something to me that is so obviously stupid my entire life.
And she's now trying to figure out what the truth is. This is important. I want to point out, when we get these situations like someone like a Candace Owens, again, it could be anybody, all of a sudden is questioning it, we don't have something we can just hand them. And that thing, I believe, should be and will be the final experiment.
One of my habits now is ignoring all data. It's great. I love when people come to me and say, actually, we've got the data to prove what? You little If you even look at data nowadays, you're a dumbass. You should just know. Street smart people don't need data. We've just been around. You know?
Man, what a weenie. You get why Will's doomed to fail, right? He thinks he's dealing with a bunch of Jerans, but in reality, he's surrounded by a bunch of Andrew Tates.
I've just been around. I just know things because I've just been around.
Honestly, that is so relatable to me. I can't even explain it. I just know things because I've been around, because there are so many scenarios that I find myself in where I'm unable to articulate the point. I can't articulate it when somebody explains to me, well, the moon landings definitely happened because this, and the firmament, and they could get, and I'm just like, no, I don't know. Instinctually, it just doesn't register to me. It just feels like that is a lie.
Why is this
happening. The unfortunate reality of debunking flat Earth is that it's largely futile, at least for the actual purpose of persuading flat earthers. Because at the end of the day, flat earthers are not available to be persuaded.
Okay, one more clip here to really drive the point home. Remember Dave Weiss? Flat Earth Dave? Will cited Dave Weiss's willingness to put his money where his mouth is as a driving factor for starting the final experiment in the first place. Then Flat Earth Dave backed out.
Dave Weiss and I have been in communication, and he has said no. He's unwilling to go to Antarctica.
So when people say, Dave, why did you turn down a free trip to Antarctica? Because I'm not going there to freeze my ass off. I don't have the time to get away. I have plenty that I need to do here every single day. And I don't believe that any of that's true.
So I'm just going to tell you and show you here on the screen his exact words to me as to why he's unwilling to go to Antarctica. Here's what he said. As I said before, I want nothing to do with you whatsoever. He's talking to me. I don't trust you at all. The people you hang with are demons and liars, in my opinion.
Will came out of nowhere. He's a pastor. And if you know anything about PSYOPs, they put people in positions that are the opposite of what they're actually doing. Violations of federal securities laws, violations of the Colorado Securities Act, breach of contract, common law, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. This is a bad guy. He's got $500,000 of fines and jail terms on his neck, but all he cares about is the final experiment. Maybe Will is doing some sort of deal to get out of this trouble. You know, when I first got his emails, when he was teasing it, I ignored the first one. Second one came, I said, what's this about? He goes, you're going to learn soon enough. I said, take me off your list. I want nothing to do with this. And then when I found out it was him, I said, I want nothing to do with him because in my eyes, he's a demon.
He then went on to InfoWars, Dave Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, and started talking about Antarctica and started talking about how they're faking a 24-hour sun. And it's like, Dave, this is exactly why you were invited to go to Antarctica on a free trip, is because you can't stop talking about Antarctica. That's how important it is to this whole issue and this whole debate.
But try explaining that to a normie that thinks flat Earth is stupid. They won't understand how the sky could be lit on a flat Earth with the sun on the other side of the world. They don't understand the optics of the sky. The guy's a complete and total fraud. Just the fact with all those charges against him and he's focused on this shows you he's up to no good. He's up to absolute no good.
And then now he's on Roseanne Barr, and in the title of their show is Antarctica. So clearly they're talking about Antarctica again. And so anyway, it's a little weird to me that Flat Earth Dave can act like he's some sort of an expert on Antarctica, if that's the case, because again, I haven't watched the interview, when he hasn't been there. And then it's going to look especially weird when you turn down a free trip to Antarctica. But anyway,
they got friggin' dinosaurs and dragons and cities floating in the sky. You don't think they can put a bright light behind the clouds in Antarctica? And maybe in Antarctica it's even easier because maybe they're close to a dome. They're, because there's so few people down there, maybe they can have this elaborate setup and make it look really good.
I created the final experiment to be something where we could collaborate, work together, and I created it to be final. That is why I came up with the name, The Final Experiment.
The Final Experiment. That is an obnoxious title. It's not a final experiment. It's not even an experiment. You know, the fact that he named it The Final Experiment, this isn't him. This is not his doings. In my opinion, this is not him. He'll just claim it is, and he just wants to put an end to it, and he'll become a flat earther if the sun sets.
And again, I am fully prepared as a glober to falsify the flat earth side, but I'm also fully prepared to falsify the globe.
Now think about this. We know that the globe lie is the most important lie that they have out there.
Why would anybody lie about the shape of the earth? Who wins? When did this start? Years ago, someone's like, look, I know it's flat, you know it's flat, but if we can convince people.
Right? Do you not think that they're going to lie? Do you not think that they're going to pull some shenanigans? And this guy, this fraud, this financial fraud that's in huge trouble, I think this guy is on the brink of disaster, of losing his entire life, and he is desperate. This is my opinion, to work his way out of this shenanigans that he's in, and he's full of it. If we don't go, then they're going to claim victory. Oh, flat earthers are afraid, and they'll just be like they're afraid. We're just going to go, and we filmed it ourselves.
Keep in mind, this is the same DITRH, Dave Weiss, who has stated that he wants to go to Antarctica. He even said he would be willing to go on a plane to Antarctica in order to settle the debate over whether we live on a globe or a flat earth, you'd think he'd want to go.
Use your God-given common senses. When this guy talks, the way he has that duping delight, the way he talks, what he says, he is, in my opinion, full of bullshit.
Okay, thank you for that, and I appreciate your views, Dave.
A couple of my coworkers asked me, Travis, how are you so sure that the final experiment isn't going to work? I mean, they've got a few of the biggest flat earthers out there saying they will stop believing in flat earth if there's a midnight sun in Antarctica. If the people leading the movement are toppled, then shouldn't that destroy the movement? Well, not exactly. So let's take a look at the reasons. First is attention.
Why are you reading a flat earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Connect about it and they included some links and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
There's one thing that flat earth will never stop doing, and that is getting people's attention. Because it's so wild, right? It forces you to think, like, what kind of person believes that the earth is flat? Didn't we prove that like 2,000 years ago? And because of that, they'll like try and engage these people and figure out what's going on here. That's exactly what flat earthers want. They want the engagement.
Now I noticed Danny Boy the other day was live. I thought I'd pop in and say hi and hit him with a question.
Is that the real Leo in the chat? I think it is the real LevelEarthObserver in the chat. How does a 24-hour sun on top to prove a physically impossible globe Earth? Well, LevelEarthObserver, as you're not a flat earther, as you keep telling me, it's difficult to sort of explain that to you in a way that you'll accept.
What you're saying is, Dan, you can't refute demonstrable reality, which proves the globe Earth's physically impossible, which is why you have no answer to someone like me. And in doing so, you've kind of highlighted the template at play and the big push in December, what ultimately is going to be laid out there. Because Dan, to prove his physically impossible globe Earth, needs another concept to attack and debunk.
So attention and engagement. Let's talk about those real quick, because I grew up a single child and I know all about craving attention and engagement. When I was in school, I used to behave pretty badly, and that was probably because I got a lot of attention from my parents because I didn't have any siblings. So at school, I wasn't receiving that kind of attention, so I had to do things to get that attention. One of the easiest ways to get attention from people in an educational environment, Flat Earth is kind of part of the scientific community, unfortunately. Contrarian statements are a real easy way to get attention. All you have to do is go, okay, what do most people believe? I believe the opposite. And I'm gonna prove that. Even though I don't believe it, I'm gonna argue it anyway just to get attention and engagement.
No one can answer the question how a circling sun in Antarctica proves a globe, physically impossible globe Earth. They can, because everyone can prove the globe Earth is physically impossible. I can't wait for the observation to be done. I think I know what they're going to see, which makes this realm even more fascinating and just shows we've all been hacked. All those physical demonstrations out there, as I keep saying, as we can all prove, highlight to us all that globe is impossible. That's how Dan proves and justifies to himself his physically impossible globe Earth. But when he deals with a demonstrable realist, he's left with admitting his globe Earth is physically impossible, and to prove his globe Earth, he requires concepts of another type to refute and debunk, and in doing so, in his mind and the general public's as well, because of the psychology at play, they somehow believe they've changed reality and proved a physically impossible globe Earth. Look what the education system has done to the general public, globe top boys, representatives online included. Scary.
Globe top boys? You might be looking at my list and going, Travis, none of these things actually tell me why flat Earth will never go away. But number 4 here, that's the real reason. Voids show up where there's absence of stuff. Okay, so when you topple the leaders of a movement, that creates a power void. And power voids are usually filled by those people's underlings who have smaller followings within the community, willing to back them as the new leader. Say Flat Earth Dave just turns into normal Dave. There's a void there now that needs to be filled, probably by like LevelEarthObserver. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane and look at the beef that got us into this saga in the first place. Jeran versus LevelEarthObserver. Observer. And let's look at how the latter is trying to preemptively strike the void left by Jeran and stake his claim to power.
Jeran has already shut down this final experiment 6 months before it's supposed to begin. How, you're asking? Well, the very community in which Jeran is supposed to be representing in December in Antarctica, that said community don't even trust Jeran anymore.
You can already see that LevelEarthObserver sees a void and is trying to fill it. This starts by discrediting Jeran within the movement and then positioning yourself as an authority figure to replace him. But that's not all filling the void is about. So, now we connect everything. When we seek attention, we're trying to fill a void in our life. For me in school, the void was now my parents who had been replaced by these teachers that I didn't know and didn't trust. For LevelEarthObserver, I don't know, the guy's a crane operator. Maybe he's lonely all day. Now, engagement is the result of seeking attention, but once you have it, man, it feels good. It feels good to have people listen to you. When my YouTube videos get 4,000 views, it's a lot better than when they get 800 views. Social media, all about engagement. You want to see that number go up because it fills something in your life that's missing. The number of likes and impressions that you get on something or comments, it all helps fill that void of attention. And this one's a little more abstract. I mean, what void are contrarian statements filling? Well, it's the void of opposition, right? And if everybody just thought and did the same things, then there wouldn't really be that much interesting in the world, right? Once everybody starts thinking the exact same way, a void pops up that needs to be filled. So everybody thinks that the world is a globe. Well, obviously somebody has to be out there offering the opposite position. I mean, yeah, the Earth is probably a globe, but what if it isn't? That line of thinking gets you attention, engagement, contrarian statements, and it fills the void of opposition. Now, you'll notice on this list here, I didn't really include anything about, conspiracy theories. That's because this is a conspiracy theory. There's another reason why the final experiment's not gonna work, and that has everything to do with Antarctica itself. So Antarctica is basically locked off for most people, except for a small portion that's open to tourists. And a lot of flat earthers will say, yeah, they're going to Antarctica, but only the designated spot that the government says they can go to. So what does that have to do with the sun circling the Earth? Nothing. But flat earthers are banking on you not realizing. So let's run down why the conspiracy outweighs the science in these people's mind. Well, for one, conspiracy theories get you attention. Just look at Alex Jones. Number two, they also get you engagement. Think about it. People are engaging these people's ideas so hard that they're going to Antarctica to prove them wrong. They shouldn't have to do that, you know? And the final experiment is playing right into their trap. Contrarian statements. What is a conspiracy theory but a statement about how the world actually works versus what people usually believe? And what kind of void is that conspiracy theory filling? It's the void of opposition to authority. You know, a lot of people want to think that the government's out to get them, and it kind of is in a lot of ways, but not in the ways they think. That's where the Dunning-Kruger effect comes into play, where people think they're smarter about a thing than they actually are. This happens to me all the time. I'll start a video thinking I know everything there is to know about something, then 3 months later I come up gasping for air from a research rabbit hole. And I probably still get some stuff wrong. You never know what you don't know until you find out that you don't know it, you know? See, part of the reason why the final experiment isn't going to end the flat Earth debate is because in a lot of ways, this is exactly what they want. Who actually needs to prove that the Earth is either flat or round? On whose shoulders does the burden of proof rest? Is it up to globe earthers to do things like the final experiment to prove to flat earthers that their conspiracy theories are wrong? Or is it on the flat earthers to provide scientific explanations for the weird things that they say they believe? Personally, I think there's a fatal flaw in the final experiment in that it is accepting the entire burden of proof. The final experiment wants to prove that the Earth is a globe. It wants to change these people's minds. But they don't care about that. This isn't about proving anything for them. For people like LevelEarthObserver, proof is just another thing to disprove and never offer up any evidence to do so. not looking to get their minds changed. They're just out here to argue. People seeking attention and engagement and offering contrarian statements to fill their voids, getting proven right or wrong, that's not why they're doing this. It's these things. It's like driving a gas-guzzling truck with a bunch of Trump flags hanging off the back. You don't do that to express your beliefs, you do that to get attention by being very loud. Flat earthers are like the giant trucks with flags hanging off of them for the scientific community. They believe in nothing and only want to divert your attention from what's important. All right, y'all, here we go. Final minute. Final seconds left. Oh. Can feel the anticipation. And I don't really know what I'm anticipating. It's really just kind of a countdown for them to fly from South America over there. They're not like actually getting there right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, nothing cool happened with the website when it hit the end. Okay, never mind. There's this quote from this old philosopher guy, Peter Kropotkin, that says that competition is the law of the jungle, but cooperation is the law of civilization. The final experiment was trying to do a cooperative kind of experiment, right? But all it did was turn it into a competition. Ultimately, the final experiment isn't for flat earthers. It's for globe earthers to feel good about. Is the final experiment any different than what we've just talked about? In the final experiment, that's a really attention-grabbing statement, isn't it? And I mean, what are they doing? They're just engaging with a contrarian viewpoint. And I'm happy to admit that I'm a hypocrite in this situation, because in a lot of ways, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to gain attention for my channel by engaging with a contrarian viewpoint, and like most of the art that I make, it's all really just to kind of fill a void in my life. And that's like a super important thing to acknowledge, right? Acknowledging what you are gives you power over your haters. Well, there we have it. The countdown timer is done. They are traveling to Antarctica right now. Let's skip ahead and see how this all went down.
Welcome to Antarctica. So great to see everybody. Super excited that we're live streaming from Antarctica, but more importantly, it is midnight where we are at, right outside of Union Glacier. None of us knew what to expect. It's definitely cold, but it's not super cold. I guarantee you it can get way colder than this here, especially in their winter or even if there was just wind. But right now we have what seems like perfect weather. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera around. And there you go, everyone. There's the sun in all of its glory right there over the Ellsworth Mountains. So here we go. Keep in mind, you can see everybody's cameras out, but the sun is exactly where the globe predicted it would be.
Yes, they saw the midnight sun, obviously, because the Earth is a sphere. Green screen, green screen, green screen, green screen, green screen. 7 mentions of green screen just in this little tiny snippet.
I'm not going first just because I want to take a nap. I'm Mark Herman, I'm Candace Owens' director. I'm very thankful to be here. Still says I'm Will Duffy, but that's okay.
Oh, sun's bright. What's that thin bright object in the sky there?
The first thing I'm going to say is, Will, just thank you so much, sir, for this incredible opportunity. Never in a million years did I think that I would ever come to a place like this, and you are probably the calmest person I've ever met.
Yeah, so I mean, I was one of the people that said I definitely didn't think that there was a 24-hour sun. It is doing what they said it would do, very clearly, and it is still dancing around high in the sky. Truth doesn't fear investigation. People need to be honest and humble and be like, whoa, you know, we were wrong. I don't think it falsifies plain Earth. I don't think it proves a globe. I think it's a singular data point. We're all just humans, and when there's not all this hoorah on the internet, that kind of becomes pretty self-evident in person. Yeah, sure enough, we're here. The sun is doing that in the sky, so we'd have to go back to the drawing board to try to address the preponderance of evidence.
I think what matters the most is putting our egos aside. I've seen a lot of vitriol, a lot of crashing out on both sides, and it's just like, are we here for truth, or are we here to hold on to a narrative and to ego? I don't care what anybody says. Say it in the comments. I won't read them anyway.
To close out, I want to play a little game of best case scenario, worst case scenario with the major players that we've talked about so far in our saga. We'll make a few predictions and see how much of a Travstradamus I can be. Let's start off with probably the most important person in this entire saga, the guy who organized the final experiment itself, Will Duffy.
There's just magic when you get people together in person, face to face, to, you know, really have meaningful conversations, look each other in the eyes. It's just great. It turned out to be something much bigger than I had ever anticipated, but the reality is this is what we set out to do, and we did it. And so it just makes you feel good. It just makes you feel like, you know, accomplished, that you can do it.
Best case scenario here is pretty straightforward. Will's a pastor, and he just spent the past year organizing and planning a trip that cost each person that went on it $37,000 a pop, all while dealing with some of the most difficult people in the world, flat earthers.
It was the longest 24 hours of our lives. Just crazy what this took to accomplish.
He's become well-versed in online flat earth discourse, and now he's made a name for himself as the guy that proved the 24-hour sun.
As will be clear in the coming weeks, there is a lot of data that we're going to be releasing. There were a lot of predictions made by the globe, and we'll see if those predictions came true. And there were actually a lot of predictions made by Flat Earth as well, and we're going to take a look at those predictions.
His next step should be using his church to start a deprogramming nonprofit aimed at trying to get flat earthers out of this cult, a universal good. Now, the worst case scenario is that he tries to perform bigger and more exciting experiments to try and disprove flat earth, deepening his ties to Candace Owens' promotional team, maybe starting a flat earth meme coin and pulling the rug out of investors like Hawk Tua Girl just did, allegedly. We are living in the worst timeline, so that is a real possibility.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I'll give you one more look at the midnight sun here in Antarctica, and I'll do one more spin around here so that you can take one last look at everything that we did and where we stayed. It was amazing. And again, just want to thank everybody for all the support, all the love for this last year. We made it, we did it, and it's gonna be fun sharing all the details with everybody. So have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, let's take a look at probably the most watched part of the final experiment's live stream, Jeran admitting that he's wrong. And then let's see what we can extrapolate from his response.
So obviously you all know Jeran Campanella of Jerenism, one of the most popular flat earth YouTube channels.
Not for long. All right, guys. Sometimes you are wrong in life, and I thought that there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it. But I respect Will Duffy for being a stand-up guy, at least in the way that he kept saying it was true. I kept saying it wasn't. He said, "You want to go? I'll take you," and brought me here, and it's a fact. So what does that mean? You guys are gonna have to figure that out yourself. Don't listen to my beliefs or my opinion. It shouldn't matter to you. But at least you should be able to accept that the sun does exactly what these guys said as far as circles the southern continent. So I realize that I'll be called a shill for just saying that. And you know what? If you're a shill for being honest, so be it. I honestly believe there was no 24-hour sun. I honestly now believe there is. That's it. If you want to call me a shill, so be it. I'll live to see another day, and at least I know that I got to see it. And I just want to say thanks to Will through everything. You've been at least kind to me, and I appreciate that. It's amazing. I can't even tell you. Flying in was the best thing I've ever seen. It's been incredible. It will continue to be incredible. What does it mean? You have to figure it out. You know, to me, it means that the AE map no longer works. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. It means that it could work. You'll have to figure out how, because I've tried and I struggle with it. It doesn't mean that AE map is over, flat earth is over. Maybe somebody's got the answer.
Now this is a classic politician's answer, leaving himself just enough room to wiggle back into the flat earth community if he ever rehabs his name. You know, this doesn't actually prove anything. Do your own research. Don't believe what I have to say. I'm just some guy. All I can say is that the sun circles Antarctica in December. All right, the way I see it, he has two options here. First, do exactly what I just said. Reestablish his credit within the flat earth community and try and salvage some credibility within this doomed community. He'll never find the same success he did before, but who knows, maybe he'll find enough to fill that void within him. Or maybe he will just be run out forever by the people calling him a shill and a traitor. The other option, which would be both lucrative and beneficial to society, would be to work for Will Duffy's deprogramming nonprofit. Be it spokesperson. The typical ex-major member of a a cult circuit is to do a bunch of TV interviews and public speaking events, eventually a multi-part docuseries on a streaming service, all followed by an eventual ease out of the public eye into a quiet retirement. Maybe busting out a speaking engagement or TV appearance just to pay the bills. Maybe filling his time by starting a new YouTube channel aimed at breaking people away from the flat earth cult. Who better to do it than him?
No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
Candace Owens. Best case scenario, she stops being an anti-Semitic weirdo. Worst case scenario is what I talked about earlier, where she continues to get involved with Will Duffy, eventually tanking his credibility and allowing Flat Earth to make a glorious comeback.
And Flat Earth Dave? Well, now's when I get to reveal to you that he's both a Sandy Hook denier.
And another thing is, they're arriving on December 14th. The elite love that date. What happened on December 14th in 2014 or whatever the year was at that school in Connecticut? December 14th. There's several things that have happened. It's one of their special days, like 9/11.
And he subconsciously doesn't believe the things that he says.
Here, so what's he gonna bring? 50 friggin' batteries down there and warmers and stuff?
Down there? Down where? It's all flat, Dave. And as for my prediction, Trump's like third White House press secretary, after the other two are fired.
The final experiment has happened.
SciManDan, the whole reason I even know about this saga. He has a far less career-defining choice ahead of him. He's gonna have to figure out if he continues to make Flat Earth Friday videos, now that the Flat Earth has finally been disproven. Does he continue to beef with low-level weirdos like LevelEarthObserver who rise up to fill the power void? Or does he declare the experiment a success and move on with his channel to something else that he can point and laugh at? Well, the trap is that now he's in the Flat Earth YouTube algorithm forever, just like me. If he stops now, he's gonna alienate a significant portion of his audience, who tune in every Friday to see him debunk a bunch of weirdos on the internet. Art informs content, content informs art, YouTube is a trap. And while I wish that Dan could escape the hell he's entombed himself in, the truth is he will continue to forever be at odds with the villain of our story and the final entry into our saga, LevelEarthObserver.
Look what the education system has done to the general public.
What will become of this man? And it's not really a question that he will continue to make the same broken record videos over and over again forever. The real question is whether or not that will continue to hold people's interest. At what point do people wake up from the trance of listening to his hypnotic cadence and go, hey, I think the record's skipping? Will the final experiment choke the influx of new subscribers to his channel? Or will he continue to be a niche fascination and algorithm pleaser for globe earthers? A bafflingly good orator with absolutely nothing of substance to say, and nothing to offer up supporting his beliefs, occupying his own little bubble of hell and trapping people in it when they wander too close to his orbit. Maybe he'll fade away to obscurity, becoming nothing more than just a simple tower crane operator, convinced he's telling all the people down at the pub the truth. Good night, everybody. When in reality, the bartender's over here telling the new guy, ah yeah, that's Leo. Real nutter him. Lad thinks the world's flat and's going around challenging everybody to prove him wrong. Better run him out a few times for disorderly conduct and being a general nuisance. Now, I don't know how much more I'll be doing on this channel about Flat Earth. It's not really what I want to be known for, but I know I won't be able to escape LevelEarthObserver's massive gravity. So I've got one more video cooking in the works about him specifically, if I feel up to going through more of his exhausting content. And I'd love to get Will Duffy on the channel for an interview. But besides that, that wraps up part 2 of the final experiment. Thanks for watching.